Look at the world around you. Most people are completely convinced that intelligence is purely about how much you know. They are stuck in the trap of thinking it's all about your IQ score, the fancy college degree hanging on your wall, or how quickly you can solve a complex differential equation. But here is what decades of cognitive research actually shows. The specific, definitive behaviors that separate truly intelligent people from everyone else are not about what they do. They are about what they absolutely refuse to do. If you want to understand true mental capacity, you have to look past the surface performance and examine the quiet habits. Stay with me until the very end, because the fifth thing on this list is a behavioral trap that almost every single person on Earth falls into daily without ever realizing how deeply it is sabotaging their progress. The psychological premise: behavioral fingerprints. Let's get one crucial thing clear before we deconstruct these habits. Real intelligence doesn't show up during a standardized test. It shows up in how a person thinks, communicates, makes high-stakes decisions, and navigates the complex chaos of the world every single day. According to research published in the Journal of Intelligence and Cognitive Psychology, highly intelligent individuals demonstrate specific behavioral patterns that set them apart from the general population. And the most revealing data point is not their performance. It is their consistent, conscious choice not to engage in certain low-value behaviors. These aren't habits they were taught in a classroom. These are natural, organic tendencies that emerge from how their minds fundamentally process reality. They prioritize accuracy over ego and substance over style. Let's walk through all 5. The power of I don't know. The first thing they never do is pretend to know things they don't actually know. Pay close attention to this one because it is far more rare and powerful than it sounds. In a conversation, when most people are asked a direct question they cannot answer, their primal instinct is to protect their image. They will do one of 3 things. They will make something up, fabrication. They will give a vague response, that sounds knowledgeable but says nothing, obfuscation. Or they will deflect the question entirely, avoidance. They do this because psychologically admitting I don't know feels like admitting weakness. Highly intelligent people do the exact opposite. They have absolutely zero problem looking you in the eye and saying, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I need to look into that and research it before I can give you an accurate, informed answer. Why this works? Because they deeply understand that pretending to know something you do not is exponentially more foolish than admitting a gap in your knowledge. Gaps in knowledge don't threaten them. They see them as open doors to learning, not closed walls of failure. This is what researchers call intellectual humility. It is one of the clearest signals of genuine intelligence because it demonstrates that a person values truth, accuracy, and reality far more than their own ego or how others temporarily perceive them. Choosing their battles wisely. Second, they never engage in pointless arguments or fight to win every debate. Think carefully about this one because it reveals something profound about a person's inner confidence. When you see someone who argues about everything, who always has to have the final word, who turns every single casual conversation into a high-stakes competition they must win, you are not watching intelligence. You are watching profound insecurity. Truly. Intelligent people choose their battles with extreme, calculated care. They do not waste mental energy or cognitive fuel trying to convince someone who has already made up their mind to never change. They do not feel compelled to correct every single wrong statement they hear in public. They do not engage with people who are arguing in bad faith, those who are not genuinely interested in a pursuit of the truth, but simply in being loud. The difference, they understand a fundamental distinction. Some conversations are productive and lead to mutual learning, while others are just ego battles that consume valuable energy and produce nothing but frustration. Intelligent people can tell the two apart immediately. When they do choose to engage, it is because they genuinely want to explore ideas, understand a different perspective, or arrive at a better conclusion. It is never because they have a narcissistic need to prove they are smarter than the person they are talking to. In today's hyper-saturated information world, knowledge is everywhere. You can watch a 10-minute YouTube video, skim a Wikipedia article, or scroll through a few expert posts on social media and walk away feeling like you have mastered a subject. Most people do exactly this. They gain a surface-level exposure to a topic and then speak with unearned, full confidence about it. But highly intelligent people have a completely different relationship with knowledge. They understand the difference between exposure and mastery. They do not watch one documentary about physics and then feel qualified to debate a physicist. Psychologists call this epistemic humility. Even in the areas where they do have genuine, deep knowledge, they still understand just how much they don't know. Real expertise takes years, and they respect that process. This makes them perpetual students of life, always learning, always digging deeper, but never pretending they have arrived at complete understanding. The discipline of emotional regulation. Third, they never make major, life-altering decisions based purely on emotions in the moment. Notice those qualifiers: purely and in the moment. Highly intelligent people are not cold, emotionless robots. In fact, research suggests they often feel things more deeply and have stronger emotional responses than average. They absolutely consider their emotions as useful data points. But here is the definitive behavioral shift. They do not let a temporary, emotional state dictate a permanent decision. When they are angry, they do not send that fiery email, make that impulsive phone call, or start that damaging confrontation. When they are excited, they do not immediately commit to a long-term project without thinking through the logistical consequences. When they are sad or discouraged, they do not make permanent changes to their career or life based on feelings they know are temporary. The me process neuroscientists call this emotional regulation. It is the highly evolved ability to feel an emotion fully without being controlled by it. Intelligent people create cognitive space, a gap, between the feeling and the subsequent action. They understand that emotions carry important information, but that information must first pass through the filter of rational thought before it becomes reality-based action. This discipline avoids the regret that inevitably follows impulsive decisions made at emotional peaks and valleys. Actively seeking dissent. The fourth thing they never do is surround themselves only with people who agree with them. This one is highly counterintuitive and catches most people completely off guard. Human beings are, by default, biologically wired to seek comfort, validation, and agreement. We naturally gravitate toward people who think like us, share our specific values, and most importantly, confirm what we already believe, confirmation bias. Highly intelligent people, however, actively and purposefully choose the opposite. They want people in their lives who will disagree with them respectfully. They want people who will point out the logical flaws in their reasoning. They want people who bring diverse perspectives they had not even considered. They want people who will challenge their fundamental assumptions and push them to think more critically. Why they do this? Because they deeply understand something that most people miss. Growth does not happen inside an echo chamber. You do not become smarter by surrounding yourself with yes men who tell you that you are right about everything. You become smarter by engaging with people who make you defend your ideas, refine your thinking, and sometimes completely change your mind. This is the psychological construct of a growth mindset, popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck. Intelligence is not a fixed, finite trait to be protected and guarded. It is a living, dynamic thing that only grows through effort, conflict, friction, and challenge. Intelligent people seek people who elevate their thinking, not people who simply make them feel smart in the short term. The busyness delusion. Finally, the fifth behavioral trap. They never mistake busy for productive or confuse activity with achievement. This is the behavioral shift that will change how you look at your own daily life starting today. We live in a relentless culture that glorifies the status of being busy. People brag about how packed their schedule is, how many hours they work, how they barely have time to breathe. Exhaustion, paradoxically, has become a badge of honor, a status symbol that screams, "I'm important." Highly intelligent people see through this completely. They understand that being busy and being effective are two fundamentally, exponentially different things. They know that working 80 hours a week on the wrong activities accomplishes far less than working 20 highly focused hours on the right activities. They prioritize ruthlessly. They concentrate their mental, physical, and emotional energy on the small handful of high-impact activities that actually move them toward meaningful, long-term goals. And they say no to everything else, even if those things look urgent, important, or busy to other people. Management thinker Peter Drucker defined this distinction perfectly. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Most people are obsessed with efficiency, getting more done faster, optimizing every single minute, multitasking constantly. But intelligent people are obsessed with effectiveness, making absolutely sure that what they are doing actually matters before they even begin to worry about how to do it faster. The result. This means they often appear, on the surface, less busy than others. They have more free time. They have more space in their schedule to just think. They have more capacity to be fully present in the moment. This is because they aren't burning their precious cognitive energy on a million low-value activities that lead nowhere. They understand that rest, reflection, and unstructured time are not luxuries you earn after working. They are essential ingredients of clear thinking, creativity, and sustainable high-level performance. The quiet intelligence. When you put all 5 of these behavioral signals together, a remarkably clear picture of genuine intelligence emerges. Truly intelligent people are not trying to appear smart. They are trying to be accurate. Not trying to win arguments. They are trying to discover what is true. Not pretending to know everything. They are staying honest about how much there is still to learn. Not letting emotions run their decisions. They are using emotions as data points and then thinking carefully before acting. Not surrounding themselves with agreement. They are seeking challenge, friction, and growth. And they are not confusing motion with progress. They are focusing their energy on what actually matters. This is what creates people who are not only intellectually capable, but are also emotionally mature, socially grounded, and genuinely effective in everything they pursue. Real intelligence is not loud. It does not need to announce itself. It shows up quietly in the habits, the boundaries, and the decisions that most people never even notice. The question is not whether you are intelligent. The question is, which of these 5 behaviors are you still doing? And what happens when you finally stop? Take a moment right now. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these 5 behaviors resonated with you the most, and which one is the hardest for you to stop? That conversation, that reflection, is exactly the kind that makes everyone in it a little bit smarter. If this hit you somewhere real, share it with one person in your life who needs to hear it. Thanks for watching.